G&T show is intended for mature audiences. Parental discretion is advised. Live long and prosper, bitches.
Star Trek: The Final Frontier. These are the voyages of the G&T show, our continuing mission to explore Star Trek storytelling, to seek out new worlds and interesting characters, to boldly go where no show has gone before.
Naomi Wildman. I was setting it up. Oh. Welcome to the G&T show, where obviously we have no script.
Yeah, let's just get this puppy started.
As always, the beautiful, the lovely, the high-booted, short-skirted, big-breasted Terry Lynn.
That would be me. Admiral Shaw.
She's badass.
It's Ceridium.
Good morning. It's Sunday on the G&T show.
You know the worst part of this morning? It's not the getting up early. It's the fact they're making me wear clothes to do the show.
It's time for coffee clutch.
Strap on your helmets, boys and girls. It's gonna get rough.
Oh, it's gonna be one of those mornings.
Let me put on my seatbelt, my helmet with the little blinky light on top.
For safety.
When we decided we were going to do the G&T show, one of the things we said was no standards. G&T show does not go on the air because we're ready. It goes on the air because it's 9 o'clock on Sunday morning.
Mike could have snapped by then and killed us both. Pain sticks for Mike, evidently.
We have our production meetings on the air.
Well, it's the best way to get you to adhere to things.
Yeah, you've now set an expectation. That's the thing about the G&T show is we set no expectations.
I need more coffee.
Wow,
I'm trying to figure out whether or not I want to do general news or Star Trek news, and I figured
This is Terry having a series of small strokes, actually.
Well, it doesn't take long for this show to deteriorate, does it?
Straight the fuck downhill.
I don't always podcast, but when I do, I G&T.
And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're listening to this, wherever you are. Welcome to episode 129 of the G&T show. Joel Untrue. My name is Gettysburg7. To my left, your right, if you look over, there he is in his giant moo-moo, Ceridium.
A moo-moo.
It's a Klingon warrior moo-moo, though, so it's a moo-moo made of chainmail.
Oh, okay. So, and it's got like little batleth print on it.
Sure, if that's what you want. And joining us this week in Terry's absence, the Joan Rivers of our show, it is the cast of Generations Geek.
Good morning, afternoon, evening, fill in the blank.
Hello.
Wow, she just woke up, didn't she?
Yep.
Having that Captain Crunch. What is your favorite cereal?
Either Cinnamon Toast Crunch or Honey Nut Cheerios.
Honey Nut Cheerios is good. Scott, you?
I am crazy about cinnamon in my breakfast cereal, so whether it's delivered through Cinnamon Life or Cinnamon Toast Crunch or anything,
Cinnamon Life.
just bring on the cinnamon.
Mike?
That almost sounds like a challenge for the
I know, right?
cinnamon challenge.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my.
I did not intend that.
Mike, how about you?
I usually don't have breakfast, but when I do, a nice plate of gach works well.
What we need is
That's where you're going to go?
Yeah, I'll go that way.
We need an always available Star Trek branded cereal. Is what we need.
Do you remember, Scott, growing up, C-3POs?
I do.
I loved those things.
I can't remember if I ever tried them.
They were good. They were almost like a frosted tasting Cheerios, but they looked like a little 8. I don't know how that made them C-3POs, except for the picture on the box. Do you remember Quake and Kaboom?
Yes.
Yeah. Somebody for Christmas 2 years ago, one of the guys in the office gave me a box of Quake.
Well, our friend of the show, CapnPFdennis, he once created an image for rock bites, like Kellogg's.
And Adrian did Corn Flakes.
Yeah, and Adrian did Corn Flakes.
But for those that don't know what Quake was, Quake is it tastes just like Captain Crunch, but it was in flake-type form, so it didn't tear the shit out of the roof of your mouth.
That was half the fun of eating Captain Crunch.
Well, that's true. And
slowly recovering afterward.
The medical insurance that you needed to eat a bowl of Captain. But I was watching something the other day. I wish I could remember what it was, but somebody was saying that they didn't care for Captain Crunch because it hurt the roof of their mouth, and everybody else laughed at them and said that they were, you had to know how long to leave the Captain Crunch in there so it was still crunchy, but yet soggy enough that it didn't rip the roof of your mouth open.
I think it was like overnight before it would not damage you.
Well,
And then, of course, there was Crunch Berry.
Well, I had mentioned CapnPFdennis, and I want to send him
let's do
good
that.
well wishes. Apparently, he had, what I hear, he had a heart attack. Is that correct?
A mitochondrial infraction, yes.
So,
those of you that are long... Go ahead, Mike.
Just going to wish him a speedy recovery.
Yes, those that are longtime listeners of the show or who are Foundry players or Foundry authors in Star Trek Online know of CapnPFdennis, the brother from another mother. He's been with us several years. He didn't make it last year to STLV. He's probably one of the nicest people in the world. And so let's put our evil-doing habits aside for a second and all of a sudden get well vibes to Paul. Who's just one of the... He had 3 blood clots that are now cleared. 3 blood clots that would kill a normal person. Not Paul. He sat in that dentist chair and got exposed to gamma rays, and look at him.
Yeah, so what if he glows in the dark now?
Yeah, well, we love you, Paul. And
yes,
we were all shocked to hear it on Friday, so get better.
Get well soon.
Paul is one of the most knowledgeable, coolest guys you'll ever meet, and huge Elvis Costello and XTC fan, the band XTC.
Yep. Elvis Costello.
I know, right? So what's going on with Generations Geek?
Well, we will be... I'm happy to say that I was invited back to appear at Convergence, which is a giant sci-fi convention here in the Twin Cities over the 4th of July weekend. So
the Twin Cities, of course, being Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
Exactly, here in Minnesota. And so we will both be at the convention, and I hope... I haven't even spoken with the convention people yet. We're going to try to have a Generations Geek panel.
Nice.
But of course, it's just the beginning here. I have to pitch it to them and see if we can make it all work. But we're looking forward to being back there. It's a bizarre convention because compared to Shore Leave, there's 5 times as many people?
There's lots of people.
I mean, it's
kind of scary.
It is crazy huge. There are the sign-in line last year. It was taking people 4 or 5 hours waiting in line.
Something was wrong, though. I think
they were having some troubles, but just as an indication of how many people they have. And so we're gonna be back there, so that's exciting.
Although the line gave you the opportunity to stand on one of the balconies and look down at all the cosplayers.
Mm-hmm.
Nice view.
Oh, nothing wrong with that.
And we've been having some fun on the show on our podcast.
So who've been your recent guests?
Well, we have a guest coming up at the end of this month by the name of Andy Weir. His first novel came out from Crown, which is an imprint of Random House. It's called The Martian, and it's about an astronaut who gets stranded on Mars when the rest of his team makes an emergency liftoff. And then the novel is just about how this uber geeky engineer is trying to survive alone on Mars, and it is a really fun read. And we had him on the show, and then...
It sounds depressing, but the main character is, really sassy and sarcastic, and he's always making these comments.
Does he talk? Does he, find a beach ball somewhere and starts carrying it around and calling it...
Calls it Spalding, yeah.
No. I'm trying to remember if there was Was there a sort of joke about that? Sort of a reference to any of that? I don't think there was. I'm trying to remember if there was a Castaway joke in there, because there's lots of jokes. There's lots of really super geeky references, and it's a lot of fun. And then coming up at the end of March, we should be having the fabulous Ilsa J. Bick on.
Oh, wonderful.
To talk about her Star Trek novels, her young adult post-apocalyptic trilogy, Ashes, Shadows, and Monsters.
Which are more disturbing than The Martian.
Which are disturbing, yes.
Are just as
I
good.
am still jealous of you guys, because did you not get the chance to interview Una McCormick?
We did. Una was...
We've been trying to get her.
That's she's the Romulan queen.
We had her on the show. We talked for over 2 hours, I think, when we had her on the show.
It was like an afternoon.
We had to split it into 2 shows. We just couldn't...
Awesome.
We had so much to talk about. There was Star Trek, there was Doctor Who,
writing.
there was Lord of the Rings. It just went on and on.
And I loved her entry into the Fall series.
No spoilers. I haven't read it yet.
Oh my God, are you serious? Audio Vixen, slap him.
She got that series,
she was the first
really
to
cranking.
be the best-selling, make the New York Times list for that series.
Yeah, I think after that.
Everybody else hit the New York Times after that.
And I, of course, I have an upcoming Star Trek ebook coming out this summer.
Yes, you do. That's awesome.
Oh, right on.
Tell us what you can, and then what you're not supposed to.
I can tell you the title. So it's called The More Things Change. It's an original series. I will say that it is set shortly after Star Trek The Motion Picture, but the official marketing copy has not been released yet, so I haven't really been given the thumbs up to divulge the plot at this point, unfortunately.
Well, any podcasters, cough, cough, be getting a review copy?
I hadn't even thought about that. I have to look into that because that would be cool. I'm raring to really. Well, let's make a deal. As soon as I get the thumbs up to talk about it, can I come back on?
You guys, you two have an open invitation. You're like Don Rickles. You have an open invitation if you're up on a Sunday to just drop in. Yeah, to just drop in. I mean that.
All right. So, yeah.
And who knows? Terry might be here.
Yeah. It'd be fun to be on with Terry.
I will say, before you said The More Things Change as an original series novel, that's my first thought because that just seems to be an original series type name. Does that make sense? There's some that you can hear, like if you hear an extremely Shakespearean title, I think DS9. If I hear a Scooby-Doo type title, I think Voyager.
So
that was perfect.
There's coffee in that nebula. There was something I meant to ask. So you haven't read that? You really do need to read The Fall.
I know. I actually finally just picked up the last volume of the series, I've gotten way behind on my Star Trek reading because I write a couple of reviews a month, and so I've got those books that I have to read, and I've just not been planning out my time well recently. But
now, have either of you read American Gods by Neil Gaiman?
No.
I haven't. Did you? You didn't?
I got that for Christmas.
Yeah, we have it.
Yeah.
We own it, but we
definitely need to read. And after you read that, you need to come back, Vixen.
Okay.
It is phenomenal. Are you a Neil Gaiman fan?
I haven't read a lot of his stuff, but
what was that? What was the name of that sort of kids book we read?
Oh,
Coraline?
Something.
No,
I've read Coraline.
Not that one, but I was thinking of that one, something about graves or graveyard or
people named Jack, right? Wasn't there like 3 guys named Jack in that 4?
Something like that.
It was something really Neil Gaiman-y.
Neil Gaiman-y. I like that.
And I've seen all the episodes of Doctor Who that he's worked on.
Oh, okay.
Of course you have. Yep. Now, did you, since it's been so long since we talked, have you seen the second installment of The Hunger Games?
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
Now, did you also read the book?
Mm-hmm.
Since I haven't read the novels, how would you compare the novel to the film?
I was more impressed with Catching Fire being more like the book than The Hunger Games was. I kind of feel like.
So the second film was a better adaptation of the novel, in your opinion?
Yeah. But it also had a different style than the first movie.
Definitely.
Yeah, but I don't know. I thought a lot of people, like a lot of my friends seemed to think that The Hunger Games was the best book, and then the series went downhill from there, which I really disagree with. I thought they were all really good. But there are so many little details that Suzanne Collins got in there that's just, you can't get them all in a movie.
Well, yeah, I mean, these films are not being done by Peter Jackson, so.
And they're not 3-hour epics.
Yeah.
Or 4-hour epics.
So 4-hour epics with 3 hours worth of story.
Yeah.
And then an additional director's cut with 2 extra hours.
Oh, see, I'm hoping that there's a fan edit of the Hobbit movies that makes them shorter. Instead of getting the expanded longer versions. I mean, they'd have to start with the longer versions because there's good little bits in those longer versions, but then scale them down a bit. And that's what I would like.
Turn it into 45-minute little jaunt.
I just like to roll around in the extra scenes.
They can add a lot to the extra scenes, because sometimes with extra scenes you watch them and you just can't believe that they weren't in the movie, because there's something that seems so important. There were a couple of scenes like that in The Lord of the Rings where they left out stuff that was kind of pivotal in the theatrical releases.
See, I can never remember because I only ever watch the extended editions, and so I'll make a reference to some scene and all my friends will just.
Well, I don't think the theatrical release of The Lord of the Rings had the Galadriel gift-giving sequence.
It didn't?
And so then later on, when suddenly they're like putting on their magic cloaks and stuff, it's like, what are these things?
Why?
Mike, I've never read or seen any of the Lord of the Rings, so I'm just sitting back, totally enjoying. No, I'm sitting back enjoying this because I have zero clue what you're talking about. Because I never read them, I never saw them. So she's like, it didn't.
And it's just it makes nonsense to you.
Parts of the rest of the movie make no sense at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, because all of a sudden Frodo can turn himself invisible. It's like,
yes, I am Rock. Yeah. Rock is I.
Did I hear you a little while ago? Did you start saying something about Sherlock?
Yes, I was going to ask if Audio Vixen has had an opportunity to give the new season a viewing.
We live streamed them right from when they aired in the Britland. So,
the Brit.
So
right on.
We're up to date.
Yep, and
awesome.
we made it into a whole sort of party. We would have a nice cup of English style tea, and little cups and saucers. We'd be sitting sipping our tea, watching Sherlock.
Biscuits.
See, I've said this to you in person, Scott, so I can say it definitely here. You're so doing fathering right. Good morning, Lamb.
Shall we just start right off the bat with a Las Vegas update?
Are we still talking Vegas, right?
We are.
Talking about Vegas.
Yes.
You're coming to Vegas, right? Star Trek Las Vegas may take place every August, but on this show.
This is where we hang out the rest of the year.
Exactly.
The crew has been fatigued now from so many months in space, and they need to take a break. The landing party has been down to check out the terrain while the crew gets ready to play. They say there's only plant life living on this lovely rock, but a rodent appears wearing a vest.
Just real quick, because I want to get this. There has been nobody new confirmed for Star Trek Las Vegas, but Scarlett Palmer's is still going to be there, so
Very
that
cool.
makes me happy. Now,
Did I hear like a communicator chirp in the background?
That was my
something?
text going off. Yeah, I've got it doing the old school communicator. Now, is there a show that you guys are currently that is a must-see for you?
Almost Human.
We are
BBC
digging almost.
or US?
You're thinking of Being Human.
Yeah.
We're talking about
Almost Human.
Almost Human.
Yeah, with Carl Urban.
With the doctor.
The JJ. That one's pretty good.
Yeah.
I have not seen that.
Oh, we would both heartily recommend it.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's on Mondays, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, it's up against pro wrestling. Don't laugh. I'm dead serious. I have a group of friends. We get together in a chat room every Monday night, and we just basically we bang on the wrestling and insult each other. It's absolutely hilarious. And like most of us go back to the late 70s, early 80s watching. So
yeah,
there's some serious stuff going on. Every now and then something will happen where there's a genuine, and there's nothing better than the genuine. Holy shit! That did not just happen.
He did not just jump from the ceiling onto the guy with the chair
that
on fire.
Or a storyline twist, where you're going, oh, I didn't see that coming. But the stuff that I like is when something happens and you can hate a character. Like there's a guy, John Cena, who's supposed to be a good guy, but he's the biggest douche. I can't stand him. But he took a bump a couple of weeks ago, and there was genuine, dear God, I honestly hope he did not break his neck on that, because the way he landed, and so then there was like a good 5 minutes of people going, is he okay? And then somebody, of course, saying, oh, God, I hope not. And then the crap starts back up again.
They do some insane stuff on there. Every once in a while, I've never followed that, but every once in a while, late night channel surfing, I'll come into it and watch for a few minutes. And some of the stuff they do is kind of scary. If they land wrong, it could be serious stuff.
My brother was a semi-professional wrestler, and he was also in the minor leagues for the UFC as well. But,
I did not know that part.
Yeah, he ended up quitting the pro wrestling because he got tired of having tables and chairs broken over his head.
Yeah.
So
that would get old pretty quickly, I would think.
Yeah.
But some of those guys that stay in it for decades, they just must be... Well,
gluttons for
But they're
punishment.
the ones that also learn how to do as little as possible, but make it look like they're tearing things up. One of my favorite guys, Scott Levy is his real name. He had a character called Raven, and his whole career was based on doing as little as possible and making the other guy look spectacular, but still making himself look like he had done a crap ton in the process.
Mm-hmm.
But Arrow is my current obsession.
Oh.
One of my friends has been telling me to watch it.
Oh,
we
you
have not watched it.
You really have to. Go find it. It's season 1's on Netflix. It is. I love it. They're a little over halfway through season 2 now. It is fucking. Oops, sorry. It is phenomenal. Look at me. I even cleared up my language for. See, I met Audio Vixen in person a couple of years ago, and I can't be bad around her.
It's funny that you ask us about our television shows, because that's what our current podcast that just went online yesterday or the day before, that's what it's about. The name of the episode is Geek TV.
Oh, nice.
And we just talk about sort of the favorite shows that we're watching right now that are genre shows. And then we also talk about shows that aren't strictly speaking genre shows, but still have great geek elements to them, like, say, Parks and Recreation.
Which I've never seen.
Which is a hilarious show.
It's really funny.
That's
and
one
not
with Amy
geeky.
Poehler, right?
Yeah.
Yep, but one of the characters, the character of Ben Wyatt, who is now Amy Poehler's character's husband, he is a total crazy, insane geek. And so they do a lot of really funny geek jokes with him.
Now, have you ever watched Psych? Because somebody told me there's a lot of geek references in that.
And Psych is one of the other shows that we talk about, because we have watched Psych, from the beginning. Yeah. And yeah, it's full of geeky references and 80 movies stuff. They had Molly Ringwald on as a guest 1 week, and they did a werewolf-themed show and had David Naughton as a guest star.
Ironic that he did not go on to become a big star after Werewolf.
Yeah, a lot of people,
Wasn't he also the Dr. Pepper guy?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But yeah, unless you're a geeky person that knows an American Werewolf in London, a lot of people don't know who he is. He just seemed to disappear after American Werewolf.
In 1980, 81, he had a couple of sitcoms that failed.
Oh, that's right.
Remember that? And I remember him from the Dr. Pepper commercials dancing, but he never achieved anything other than, I know who that guy is. What's his name? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to throw something at you, Audio Vixen.
Okay.
We know that you're, and this is your own words, a cumberbitch.
Okay. First of all, official name is now the Cumberbatch.
No.
So,
I'm going with Cumberbitch still. Him or Nathan Fillion? See? She's now curled up in the corner in the fetal position trying to figure it out.
Don't look at me. They're both so cool.
Benny was Smug, but Nathan was Captain.
Did you really just say Benny?
Yes, I called him Benny. Of course, I called him Benny.
Close personal friends.
Yeah.
Benny C.
He's on her speed dial.
Yeah, exactly.
He's on the laminated list, isn't he?
He comes over for tea.
Family plan.
He comes over for tea and scones every Sunday. We had to break with Benny to do this podcast.
Well, it's worth it.
And lately, I've been more of a Hiddlestoner, so,
Is that what they're calling it?
Oh, my God. Really? Is that what they're calling?
What? I don't know any. What else?
Or did you just make that up off the cuff?
I didn't just make that up off the cuff.
It actually makes sense.
That's funny.
Explain to me the whole Tom Hiddleston thing, seriously, because I don't understand. I'm a guy.
Have you seen his face?
Right?
Yes, I've seen his face. I'm extremely hetero. But if I had to go to jail with Thor, I can't think of his name.
Hemsworth, Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah, Chris Hemsworth. Okay, I can deal with that. Tom Hiddleston, let's face it. Look at the picture. He's Darlene from Roseanne.
He could play her brother, couldn't he? Somehow that never occurred to me before.
Taking nothing away from him, the guy is a phenomenal actor. But explain to me. You said, have you seen his face? Yes, he needs a tan.
He's British.
That's a good point.
You could say the same thing about
So is
Benedict.
Keira Knightley, and she's not like paste from a jar.
I would think Benny is paler than Tom.
Yeah.
No, I think Hiddleston's more pale.
Yeah. We're all trying to picture in our heads now who's the palest of them all. But I do think if you put Hiddleston at the end of a runway in the fog, he's guiding aircraft in.
Just to make sure I understand, I don't know if anybody in the audience knows or not, but we're talking about the gentleman who plays Loki?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, now I'm with you.
But there's a couple of guys like that where I'm not gay, but if I had to go to jail,
Yep.
It's acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
Who falls in that list for you?
You talking to me?
Yeah, I'm talking to you. No, I'm talking to her. Yes. Side of your father you never knew.
If it were decades ago, an actor favorite of mine has always been Gregory Peck.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
Just classically handsome, fabulous actor.
The whole package.
He's a great guy.
A couple of decades ago, I gotta say Steve McQueen.
Did
you laugh at that?
I'm laughing at everything.
So the entire turn of the conversation, I think, has.
Oh, come on, man or woman? Steve McQueen was a beautiful woman.
You know what? It's been too long since I've watched Bullet.
I've never seen it.
Oh my!
Did he just spill his coffee?
Defibrillator.
He's dying.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
Is it on I think it's on Netflix. I have to find it. If I have seen it, it's been so long that I don't remember.
I own some sort of special fancy pants DVD edition because it's just such a fabulous movie, and it's and the car chase sequences are so amazing, and it's all old school. It's practical. There's no CGI in the car chase.
Right.
It's real, baby.
Somebody just said they're humming the tune of The Great Escape, like The Great Escape. All no CGI, everything just brilliantly done.
Yep. And it was, I actually worked on a book way, way back in the day. I edited a book called Greatest Movie Car Chases or something like that. I actually think I'm getting the title a little wrong. But it was a really fun book that just, covered great car chases and talked about how they were shot and behind the scenes info. It was a really fun book. And of course, Bullet was definitely in there. And one of the things that I learned working on the book that I hadn't noticed when watching it is there's this one VW bug that keeps showing up. No matter where the chase is happening, you're always seeing this same bug go by because, of course, they just had a certain number of cars for,
So that person was out running errands the entire time.
Yeah.
Now we've talked about Star Trek TV shows and such with you here before. Now, Scott, I'm sure you have. Vixen, have you seen the animated series?
Oh yeah.
What do you think of it?
I mean, I haven't watched it in a long time, but I remember loving it as a kid.
That is how I introduced her to Star Trek when she started asking about what this Star Trek thing was that I was always talking about. The first thing I did was showed her the animated series, and she loved it. And the first time she watched it, it was before it had been released on DVD, and so we were watching it on like these 25-year-old VHS tapes that I had recorded the show.
Wow.
And they looked okay, but there was this high-pitched whine in the background throughout the entire tape.
I remember.
And she just, I think she was, like 6 or 7 when I showed those to you?
I think.
Or younger. And she loved them, and she kept wanting to watch them over and over again. It's like, and I just could not stand listening to that.
It was drilling through your head?
Yeah.
It was like the holy grail of my childhood, my first episode of
That's
Star
interesting.
Trek.
Now, when you actually watched the I don't want to say the real Star Trek, but the show Star Trek, what did you think after having first been introduced to it by the animated series? Were you like looking for Imress and Eric?
I don't remember a lot of my first viewings of Star Trek. I was so small, but I mean, I remember loving it. She
went just nuts for it. I could never believe how deep the hook was set as soon as I started showing her the cartoon. It was just all over. Yeah.
perhaps it's time for a rewatch.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, what would you like to see if they made an animated Star Trek series now, like in the style of Clone Wars or something like that? What would each of you like to see? Would you like to see it set in the Lost era, the TOS continuity, the post-Nemesis? What would you like to see?
I would be happy as long as there were more women than JJ Trek, which isn't that hard because there were like 2, but still, that would make me happy.
There was one in the first one, so at least it's going to
No, well, there was 1.5 because you got to count the Orion.
But how many were named? Like 4?
Yeah, it was...
it was bad.
Yeah, that's bad.
In which one, I bought Into Darkness on DVD, and I still haven't watched it on DVD yet. I've only seen it the one time in the theater, and I just can't bring myself to watch it again. And I probably should. It's I don't know how this is going to sound. People that listen to the show really are going to... It's not fair for me to not watch it again, because I may catch things I didn't see before, and I already know my problems with it, so I can just watch it for the enjoyment of it. But I just can't. I was so put off by the I Am Khan, and then them looking at each other being like, oh, all right, what's up?
Yeah, I had a lot of issues with the movie, and I found it to be on rewatching it. Those things don't flare up quite so much because you've already,
raged over it.
Yeah, and so there's definitely scenes in there that I enjoy.
I saw it 4 times in the theater.
Now, what are your high points? We've talked a lot about the negatives of the movie on this show. For you guys, what were the high points of the movie? The things that people say, what did you like about it? What do you say?
Warp sparkles.
Did you say warp sparkle?
I did say warp sparkles.
And that was actually kind of cool, the little warp trail. Although it was odd, but it grew on me.
But
I agree.
I think it does indicate something about the film that when the first thing that pops into your mind is just a special effect that has nothing to do with the characters.
It's always the warp sparkles.
Yes.
Let's see. I'm trying to think. Into Darkness. What did I like about it?
Maybe Uhura, like talking to the Klingons and being like awesome.
She did. Now
that was a nice scene for her.
To me, one of the high points of the film, they automatically took and ruined it when it's her, Spock, and Kirk in the shuttle, and she gets all passive aggressive, and they're having their debate back and forth while Kirk is piloting.
Yeah,
I loved that portion because we were actually getting character development. The acting was so solid. Everything, and then just like everything else in that movie, once you begin to get engaged, there's an explosion.
Yeah. One, I know what I would say. I would say just about any scene of Scotty's.
Oh, yeah.
I think he stole the movie. I just thought that Simon Pegg was great in there. Just so much of what he did was so enjoyable. I just had a
problem with his intergalactic communicator.
Well, yeah, there's...
technology in the JJ Trek universe is like superpowered.
It's
it works on a quantum level.
Yeah, the technology continuity in that movie is akin to a 10th grader's fan fiction.
Yeah, they just make everything happen because they need it to, not because it makes any sense. And but yeah, Scotty was great,
and I think we even got a name for his little buddy this time, didn't we?
God, I never remember. I always try and talk about him, and then I never.
You just say the midget wrestler.
Yeah, I've forgotten the name now, too.
Say, like, Scotty's little buddy.
Yeah, now, we've talked about this before with Terry here, but I'd like to get your opinions, especially since it's like a homework assignment. And what do you think of them doing, like, the Countdown comics that you should, I'm not saying have to, but to understand what's going on in the film, some of the backstory stuff. What do you think of that as almost having, like, a homework assignment to read a comic to understand plot points of the film?
I think they need more plot in the films. It's like it's so strange to me that in the comics they're having character development and these sort of plot details, and then you get into the film and it's just a big action adventure thing with. I just find it bizarre. I mean, I like the idea of getting. Obviously, I support tie-in fiction,
Yeah, you better.
But yeah, this idea that there's stuff being left out of the movie, that there are people going into the theaters that aren't going to get stuff because it's only been explained in the comic book. It's a strange approach that I don't quite get.
I didn't notice. I don't think there were too many references, though, so that people who... I thought it would be
I would say it was more prevalent for the first Bad Robot film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would prefer a little bit more of that stuff in the actual movie, and
Agreed.
A little less. I mean, they need to be big action movies. I don't have any problem with turning the franchise on the big screen into a big explodey kind of thing. But
I mean, it works when it works well. Wrath of Khan is a good example when it can work amazingly.
Yes. Now, there you have a film that is loaded with character development and action, and it's very character-driven action. And then if you compare Into Darkness, it's like Into Darkness, of course, has a lot more over-the-top action, but then the actual character piece of it has been lost. I mean, do you really get any sense of Khan in Into Darkness? It's not there like it is in the original.
Mike had a great take on what would have made that movie automatically 100% better regarding Khan. Mike, what was that?
Throw him out and just keep it as I can't think of his name now.
John Harrison.
John Harrison.
Yeah, well,
if they kept it John Harrison, I think the movie would have made a lot more sense. It would have been better. And for me personally, I would not have felt as if they were trying to, cater or to the fans.
It was almost like, hey, let us shoehorn this in to show that we're fans.
No, I read an interview with, and I can't remember which one of the guys it was, Orky or Abrams or someone, but they came right out and said that they had the story in place before they decided they were going to use Khan. And so they really did have the story of the terrorist in place, and then they decided
don't you think the story,
to make him
without
Khan.
him being Khan, the story
was stronger.
Improved. Yeah, it's so much stronger.
Yeah, I think they could have, done so much more with it if they then didn't have to shoehorn the Khan thing on top of it. And then since there was no backstory, since there was no space seed before...
Khan was a useless...
We have to call Spock Prime to find out what this is all about.
Yeah, and so when Benny gets to deliver the line, "I am Khan," the
crickets.
Yeah, it has
half the theater that I was in when I watched it the first time on opening night, half the theater got up and left.
Yeah, it
really?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It had no meaning within the context of that film to have him say, "I am Khan."
Well, and because at the beginning of Space Seed, Khan isn't really like a villain. Like, he's kind of like charming and like a gentleman until he starts getting creepy, and then you're like, what are you doing? And then he's Khan, and it's like,
yeah, you look at, Space Seed, talk about character development. There is a complex, people like to make fun of the acting flourishes of Ricardo Montalban, but in Space Seed, you really do get a complicated character.
Yeah.
And would you agree that
they didn't give that to Benny to act? He didn't have a complicated character.
Would you agree that in Into Darkness, this has always been my take on and mind you, I've just
the complication came in the comic, actually.
Yeah, and here's my take on Khan, the quote bad guy. They track him down. They've got him in the brig. He tells them who he is. They then go, they're fighting the Admiral's people and everything, and he's doing everything. He comes back for them and everything, and then Kirk says, first chance you get, blast him, which then causes Khan to go ape shit on them. Up to that point, there was never a reason he had to turn on them. It was all about the Admiral.
Yeah.
But when Kirk says to shoot the ship down, he says to Sulu, like, isn't it like if something goes wrong, if he starts doing stuff, then you shoot that ship down?
No, when they're on the way to the bridge in the other ship, and he says, first chance you get, blast him.
Oh,
and then,
that's very Kirk-like.
Yeah, exactly. Sarcasm. And Khan hadn't done anything but help them, and I think it was in either the shuttle bay or the engine room or wherever they were, where they lose him, and then he comes back for them.
Yeah.
And people are saying he was going to go apeshit anyway. Where do you get that? Because he hadn't done it, and his problem was not with Kirk and the Enterprise. It was with the Admiral, with Admiral Marcus.
Yeah, the motivation of the Khan character is really mishandled in a couple of points in the movie. One thing that I've mentioned before is after the crash, when Spock goes after him, from Khan's point of view, Spock is responsible for killing his entire crew because the ship blew up. Khan doesn't know that Spock's switched out the bodies. Mm-hmm. So as far as Khan knows, Spock is the person who has just killed his entire crew. Spock beams down. Khan looks over and sees Spock, and he turns and runs. He has no motivation to turn and run. His motivation is to run at Spock and throttle him. Instead, he turns and flees. It makes no sense from a character point of view. All that makes sense from is the point of view of now we need a chase scene.
Yeah.
Wasn't he trying to do something on Earth, though? Like, what was he doing at that point? I don't remember.
On Earth, he purposely crashed the ship trying to take out Starfleet or something. But then after that,
he was just getting out of town.
He would just leave. But then when Spock appears, he should have just yelled. They could have had him yell Spock as a counterpoint to Spock yelling Khan.
Yeah, because he's mourning the loss of all of his people.
Yeah, and
as far as he knows,
and it still could have turned into a big chase fight scene somehow, but they could have.
But he also then as soon as he jumps on the thing and then Spock's there, he just immediately tries to crack his skull.
But yeah, he should have went at him to give him a beat down right away. That would have made sense from a character motivation point of view.
Now, what is the... Well, first of all, this is something for those that... Okay, I get made fun of at work for this. On the weekends, my TV is pretty much on C-SPAN 2 all weekend because it's book TV. I don't know if you've ever watched it. Just before the show, I was watching... the author of America's First Crisis, The War of 1812, giving a talk about his book.
Oh, interesting.
And it was very interesting, and he was very funny, which helps a lot when you're talking about something as complex about the War of 1812.
People don't realize that the War of 1812 was, in fact, our funniest war.
It was a very funny war.
Yeah.
And some of the names in it, Zebulon Pike. That is such a great name.
That's a Star Trek character name.
That name Zebulon needs to make a comeback. I'm just saying.
It sounds like a Transformer name a little bit.
Tecumseh was a whole part of this. I mean, just a fascinating thing that happened about this. But so I love that. And I was watching P.J. O'Rourke give a talk about his newest book about baby boomers. And somebody said, kids don't ever, somebody said, about your drug use and when you were young and everything. And what do you tell your kids? And he's like, I've told them I've never done drugs because they've never read my books. So that brings me to you, Vixen. Have you read your father's work?
Some of it.
Oh, what a good kid.
Sometimes you're like, yeah, you can't read this for a few years.
Yes.
And then I'm like, okay.
The Star Trek stuff is all, perfectly age appropriate for
those are your Jenna Jameson fanfic novels.
But some of my other stuff, I've got if I may do more shameless plugs, and I believe I can, I have a story coming out in the new issue of Space and Time magazine that's due out, anytime soon. And it's a Cthulhu kind of story.
Oh.
But it's also got a lot of humorous elements. It's not a parody. It's kind of, but it's funny.
I just saw a Cthulhu board game in my comic store the other day.
Oh, there's some, yeah.
And we've got Cthulhu Flux.
And, we've got the Cthulhu Flux game. But, yeah, I told her that was one story that I really wouldn't be comfortable with her reading for a while.
You're, 16 now?
Yeah.
You got your license yet?
No, I have my permit, though. I just haven't wanted to do behind the wheel because we're buried in snow and ice.
Yeah. Well, Rora Penthe gets that way. How did you feel when she went and got her permit?
It's I always feel old, but it's a big deal. It's weird to be riding around in the passenger seat with your child driving.
I'm the one that drives us on our weird late night trips to the grocery store now.
Yep, sometimes. Yeah,
for orange juice and mustard.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Hold on. 2 questions arise out of that one statement. 1, is he a terrible backseat driver? And 2, what are you guys blazing up? Why are you getting mustard and orange juice?
Okay. So I'm usually the one that really, really has a craving for something like orange juice out of nowhere. And so then I'll be like, we need to go to the grocery store right now. And then we're like, oh yeah, and we need Dijon mustard too. And then we get Dijon because it's the best of all the mustards.
It is.
And then we get ice cream because it's late at night and you're in the grocery store. And what can you do?
So yeah, we around.
Mike, are you following this at all? Because I'm still trying to write my notes.
I'll
some
send
reason
you the flow chart later.
Okay.
It's just become a strange tradition that around 9 o'clock we often make later we'll go to the grocery store and buy 3 items that have nothing in common.
Really? And is it stuck on 3 items every time? Is that part of the whole trip?
It's usually just a handful like that, and it's.
I'm convinced the employees talk about us. Sometimes the combinations are really strange.
That's
But on your other question, I try to be a relatively reasonable.
It's more that from the passenger seat, especially when I'm pulling into a parking space, it looks like I'm about to hit the car next to us. When I'm I can tell I'm not going to, but from the passenger seat, it really looks like it. And so he's like, huh, and I'm like, Dad, it's okay.
Yeah, the perspective, the different perspective that you get from the passenger seat, you can't quite, you're reversed. So you can't quite judge the amount of space between the driver's front corner and the car in the next spot. So I always get a little nervous, but she's doing well though.
All right, the chat room just made me comment on them. 1, Mad Dog, first Sunset, thank you, that is hot. The grumpy cat with the grumpy dwarf is freaking fantastic. 2, it's a picture of Aquaman on Cthulhu, and it says, I'm useless, they said. I have stupid powers, they said. Tell me, who are your favorite superheroes? Because it's been a little delayed because of my surgery, but I've got a new podcast I'll be starting up called I Have Issues, and it's about comics and comic book movies and comic book animated series and things like that.
Wow.
You like?
I like very much. I Have Issues. That's great. That's a great title.
James Swallow gave me that.
Yeah, he made the show.
Yeah.
James.
Yeah, right.
Didn't James Swallow write one of the Doctor Who books that I read?
He wrote
write the Western? That was the best.
Yep.
He is a great author.
He's a great guy. I met him one year at Shore Leave and got to do a couple of panels with him. And
are you guys going to Shore Leave this year?
I don't know.
Okay.
Our my financial situation is a little rocky, and so I don't know if we're going to be able to
well, from a purely selfish standpoint, I hope not, because it's the same weekend. Star Trek Las Vegas got moved to the same weekend, so I wouldn't be able to see you guys.
Oh,
you can always come out to Vegas.
Yeah.
I had not realized that.
Oh, yeah, they screwed us over. I almost said it.
Oh.
They screwed us over by moving it. It is now the week after Comic-Con.
Wow, things are just jammed up.
If they do the same thing next year, I'm not going. I'm going to go to Shore Leave because, 1, I'll save a hell of a lot more money, and 2, all the authors and everything will be at Shore Leave. And as a matter of fact, Scott, take a note. I have to talk to you when the show's over about somebody's contact info.
Okay. I am literally going to jot myself a note because otherwise I'll forget.
But yeah, so I won't be like Dayton chose to go to Shore Leave this year because we had Dayton Ward and Kevin Dillmore as the G&T show guests last year.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, Mike, that's something we could talk about. Generations Geek and us sharing a booth in Vegas. Well, no, because if we did that, you wouldn't have to pay to get in the convention because you'd have vendors.
But there'd still be all the other expenses.
Well, just the hotel and food.
Just those, and transportation.
Oh, yeah, there's that too. Yeah. Well, that's true, because where you live, you got to take the space shuttle to get out of there.
Yeah.
So.
my freelance career is not as thriving as I would like it to be. So conventions are. Well, that's one of the reasons I'm very happy that I got invited back to Convergence, because it's a local convention, so I get to do a convention without
somewhat local.
Without
now,
going
is it
into
general
depth.
sci-fi or what is it?
Yep, it is. It's everything.
The theme this year is something weird.
The theme this year is A Midsummer's Night's Dream, I think. And I'm not,
As in Shakespeare?
And
I don't know.
Yeah, that one's like last year it was British invasion, and so it was all about Doctor Who and stuff like that. So this year
UFO
and UFO.
And there was the London Con booth that I kept snaking British candy from.
Yep, and I got to do a.
They had these bowls out, and so I went over there and talked to the guy and tried some. But then if the guy wasn't there, then I could take another piece because it wouldn't be embarrassing. And British candy is so much better than American candy.
Wait, what?
I said British candy is better than American candy.
Explain, because I don't.
Better
it can't
chocolate,
be good.
Better everything.
Oh, please. German is the best chocolate.
It was, I got to do, Melinda Snodgrass was one of the guests there last year, so we got to hang out a little bit with Melinda. That was fabulous, and I got to do a panel on Jerry Anderson shows like UFO. That was really fun. And I was on the panel with Paul Cornell, the writer, and he's written Doctor Who. And yeah, it was a great convention.
And I managed to get on the Hobbit panel.
Now I'm not
Ella
watching.
did her first
I refuse
panel.
to watch Doctor Who anymore.
And why is that?
Do you hate Stephen Moffat?
No. No, mine is much more guy oriented than that. Get rid of Amy Pond. I don't watch anymore.
We got to meet the young woman who played young Amy Pond a couple of times.
Karen's cousin.
And it's her cousin. She was
her mom.
She was a guest at Convergence, and so that was funny. And the kid stuck her with a question.
Way to go.
So the young Amy Pond did a big
I remember now. I totally
panel
forgot about
thing.
that. Oh my god.
And she was telling a story that she had done some sort of audition where she had to do an American accent, and she didn't think, I think she said I was rubbish at it or something like that.
Yeah, she said something really British.
And so then a little later on, when she was taking more questions, the kid asked her to do her American accent.
I was nice about it, though.
Put her on the spot.
I wasn't as demanding as other fans would have been.
And she was...
But it was pretty great.
And she was like, oh, I can't believe it. But then she did
She
it.
was immediately like, oh, of course. And I was like, I had to ask. I'm sorry. And so then she did it. And it was like pseudo-California.
Oh, yeah, that's right. She kind of did like a surfer American accent. It was pretty funny.
But yeah, with no Amy Pond equals no Nick watching.
I like the Clara character, though.
I don't know what that means.
Well,
she's the new
companion.
Yep, there's only
Clara.
Sorry.
I still don't. She doesn't
she's
register as like the actual new companion in my head, because I first started watching Doctor Who with Matt and Amy, and so I did character and actor names there, but and so I just never thought of her as an actual companion as much as she's fine, I like her, but I just never think of her as an actual companion.
Now, do you guys watch Face Off?
What?
No.
Really good. Highly recommend. Have you seen Helix?
No, I haven't. How's that?
All right. No, it's okay. It's just go ahead, Mike.
Helix is it's different. I mean, it's a dark show. Then again, it's dealing with some kind of disease that doesn't seem like it's from this planet.
It's basically like The Thing meets Andromeda Strain.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a nice pitch.
By Ronald D. Moore.
Yeah.
He's the showrunner.
Yep.
So it's an interesting show. I'm not too thrilled by it, but I'm watching it.
Okay, guys, have you not been listening? He says, "Are we going to do anything Star Trek this ep?" Correct me if I'm wrong. Did we not talk about the animated series and Into Darkness?
Yeah.
Maybe if our chat room was less interested in putting up goofy pictures. Guys.
Well, I do have some Star Trek news. I do have some Star Trek Online news.
Yes, and thank you to DEF CON. Mike, you posted something from DEF CON this morning?
Yeah, he had shared some novel updates earlier. I'm pulling it up.
Oh, okay. Don't hurt yourself. Oh, my God. Don't look in our chat room. Mad Wolf has crossed the line.
It's not good. I can't pull it up right now. For some strange reason, I'm getting the site is temporarily unavailable.
Saltpeter. Oh.
So I'll have to look into that.
Well,
go ahead.
I was just going to say that for a lifelong geek, I often go through stretches where I watch remarkably few geeky shows. So there's so much on right now. Well, and this is something I mentioned in our podcast, Geek TV, the Geek TV episode, is that it's like a renaissance of Geek TV right now. It's like every week seems to be an announcement of a new geek show, and like the CW network just seems to be going more and more like every show they do.
Arrow is phenomenal,
and there's just so much that I just can't keep up.
The Yesterday People is something that they have now. My fiance Janice, Tomorrow People. Janice loves the show Rain, and I will admit when she's watching it, I tend to sit and watch it with her. It's not bad. Now it's not geek, but I think enough geeks would like it because of the whole, what it's about, the whole England and Mary Queen of Scots and all of that.
A lot of crossover with the geek audience.
Now,
Tomorrow People, I couldn't get past watching the first episode.
Why is that?
I don't know. It was just something about it that just
didn't catch you.
It didn't sit well with me. It just kind of made me.
Now, are you guys watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Yeah.
Yes. Thoughts about the complaints?
I'm, and this is another thing that we talked about in the podcast. I'm really enjoying the show, but I also have to agree with almost every critique I've heard of it.
Yeah.
It's like, well, yeah, that's true, but somehow I still find it likable, even though it is kind of a muddle with the characters.
And they keep like skipping weeks for no reason. They'll like put on a repeat where like there's not a viable reason.
No, well, there was, and I'm trying to remember what it was, why they had the skip.
It was like a couple weeks in a row though, and then they had an episode.
Yeah, I mean,
another repeat.
They came back from the holiday break and had one new show, and then immediately 2 more reruns. That was a little disappointing, but I don't know. I don't know why I like the show so much for it being kind of, I don't know how to concisely describe its problems.
Thin?
But, thin is a good word.
Thin is a good word, and Arrow is kind of the 180 of that as far as character development and everything. But I will say, a couple of weeks ago when Skye did her "I'm Agent May" thing, I fell in love with Skye in that episode.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Skye became really cool to me in that episode, and I love Fitzsimmons.
Yeah. How can you not?
Well, I know people that find them incredibly annoying.
Oh.
How? That's just not fair.
It's not fair.
You're admit it. You're kind of an Anglophile.
You don't need to say kind of. You can just go, she's full bore Anglophile. Yeah.
Well, look who my father is.
That's a good point.
That's true.
I found if people, like if you all have long drives or you're snowed in or anything like that, I have found 2 really good podcasts that I listen to, and I'm going to put the links up.
Is one of them Welcome to Night Vale?
No.
Have you heard of Welcome to Night Vale?
I have not.
Really?
I haven't listened to it yet.
It's really, really good. It's this podcast about this town called Night Vale, and within the podcast is supposed to be like the local radio station in Night Vale, but it's really like surreal and just all this really funny, just crazy stuff happens, and it's like if you zone out for 1 second, something entirely different is going on. It's really, really funny.
Is it an anthology series?
It's a continuing storyline.
Yeah.
So it's really like an audio drama kind of thing. Well, comedy, but it's
really hard to describe. It's really good though.
I've been meaning to listen to it because she tells me little bits and pieces about it, and it's definitely something that I would enjoy. But it's just a time commitment.
Well, here's the first one that I have. It's called Revolutions, and it is he just got done doing the English Revolution of the 1600s. and it's like in 15-minute chunks. So, it's not a huge commitment of time. If you're out running around, you listen to one episode on your way there. It's really, really good. Next, he's going to be doing the American Revolution.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one by the same guy who's got an extremely dry sense of humor,
Mm-hmm.
and it's very detailed and very good, is the history of Rome.
Wow.
And they're fascinating, and the history of Rome is really fascinating, because it starts out with the twin brothers, Romulus and Remus, and that whole bit, and, what was probably true, what was myth, what was, this and that, and then it goes up through, it's just an amazing labor that he put together. So I know this audience, we're very lucky, loves to read and study and do all of that, so these are some good things for when you're working on, whatever, great stuff. Now, gotta ask you, since you talked about cosplay earlier, are you cosplaying, Vixen?
I don't know. I wish. You need money to buy things, and I spent all of my birthday / Christmas money on my new computer. And so
that I can let go.
Yeah. And so I don't know if I'll be able to, but one of my friends is cosplaying Rogue from X-Men, and she's just perfect for it. It's going to be great.
Now, I have, speaking of your birthday, a belated happy birthday. I did send you something on your birthday. Your father knows this. I have something I have to send to you, and I just haven't been able to get to the post office. I have something for your birthday that when you get it, I would love you to come on the show and then open it. So, because would you agree, Scott, that to hear someone actually faint live on the show would be fantastic?
Yes. I like this idea.
I feel like I'm scared.
You should.
No. Believe me, it is
in a good
nothing bad. It is something that I know that you will love and hug and squeeze and call it George.
You did, speaking of the cosplay, though, you should mention your Halloween adventure with your friend.
Oh, do you guys watch Supernatural?
I've seen it like twice.
I watch it regularly.
Okay, well, for Halloween, my friend was Cass and I was Dean.
Interesting.
It was pretty great.
So, yeah, it was, so they were, and what were you calling them? Femcass and Femdean.
Yeah, because we weren't going to mess with trying to...
They didn't try to be the male, the original male versions.
Makeup for stubble and then too much.
They're from the alternate universe where Cass and Dean were girls.
And then she borrowed her cousin has like the official like cast coat, and so she had like the actual trench coat, and I was wearing like a plaid shirt because what else are you gonna wear when you're Dean?
And I made a temporary tattoo of the anti-demon possession
tattoo.
So
the only time I've watched that show was when Felicia Day was in.
Oh, Charlie's great.
A close personal friend.
Yeah, Felicia Day.
Oh yeah, I met her last year at Farpoint.
See,
I hate you.
Yeah, we have.
You're gonna change that tune when you get your gift.
But here's the coolest thing. We weren't able to be there, but the fabulous Dave Mack, whom of course your audience is familiar with, he loves bunnies. Dave Mack was kind enough to get Felicia to record a little video shout out.
Video shout out
to me and the kid.
Yeah.
Since we couldn't be there. Yes. So we have a video.
I watched it and then just fell over on the floor
of Dave and Felicia,
and was just lying there for a few minutes.
Felicia saying, "Hi Scott, hi Ella."
What do you think she's going to do when she gets what I send?
It's going to be good. It's going to be it's going to be one of those fabulous reactions.
You guys are not looking at the chat room, are you?
We can't see it.
Okay, I'm going to tell the chat room what I got her.
Okay, that doesn't come up on the no. Okay, never mind.
Well, while he's doing that, have you guys? Do you guys play Star Trek Online?
I want to play Star Trek Online.
Engineering here. Warp engines are online.
Course laid in, Captain.
Engage. Your ship.
Warning. Ship is under attack.
Your crew.
Move out.
Your destiny.
No, we don't.
Did you buy it?
Yeah, I've got it. I went on once. It's embarrassing to admit that I played it for a half an hour and I've never gone back to it. I mean, it was fabulous. I was really impressed with the sort of immersive quality that it had. But it's just one of those time things where I just haven't made the time to. I'm actually kind of afraid to make the time because I think I would just get sucked in and want to be on it all the time. But
that's why I didn't.
understand.
That's why when I got my computer, I didn't make an account on the Lord of the Rings online.
Yeah.
I was like, I cannot. I will spend all of my time on there, and I already spend too much time on my computer as it is.
And whenever
Moderation.
whenever I see the announcements from you guys about the new new stories or new seasons or whatever, it's always very tempting to me. It just sounds so cool.
I will tell you, I had kind of lost a lot of interest in the game, but when they added the Legacy of Romulus, and not because of my love of Romulans, but because the Legacy of Romulus was that well done, it really was awesome.
Well,
and now they've got the Voth.
Actually, well,
the Hirogen lockboxes are opening soon.
They're open now.
The Hirogen lockboxes are in now?
Yes, and they've got 2 Voth. They've just added 2 Voth to the game.
I saw the that announcement online that he was doing the voice work. Yeah, it looks fabulous, but
I got to play the mission. It's a lot of fun. It's really good. But there's another bit of news coming out of Star Trek Online, and it involves community manager Brandon.
Yes, Brandon. Talk about that. The wonderful and beautiful Brandon Felczer.
Yes, he got a promotion.
That is so
be
awesome.
moving on to oversee all of PWE's community managers. So he's now the boss.
So he's like a vice president now.
And so Stowe will be getting a new community manager.
They got big shoes to fill.
His name is Captain Smirk, I do believe. So
good luck, because you've got big shoes to fill.
He does, but having Brandon as a boss, I mean, is going to be pretty awesome. And I'm sure Captain Smirk will do just fine.
I hope so. And a lot of people get mad at the community manager, but a lot of times they're just the messenger. Now, do you do a lot of gaming, like Xbox or PS4, PS3, anything?
We have an original Xbox, and I have a Wii in my room, but we don't play that many video games. I mean, every once in a while I'll get in the mood, and then I'll sit down and play, Medal of Honor for, 4 hours. But
I know. Oh, that's awesome. Medal of Honor rock.
It is. It's the strangest thing to watch your young teenage daughter slaughter Nazis. It's just the weirdest thing to watch.
I'm also, super vocal, so I'll be, yelling at the TV.
Yeah. And you first got, you were probably what? When did we first get the Xbox? Has it been a couple years?
1 or 2. Maybe.
1 or 2. So
it hasn't been that long.
So you were maybe 15. So you're watching a 15-year-old girl, young woman, ruthlessly. Pulling off headshots on Nazis just as they peek out from around something.
I have really good aim.
It's very weird.
With such joy.
Yeah, it's really weird.
I can just pick them off one by one.
That's awesome.
It's great.
I have been, in my recovery from my surgery I've been elbows deep in Arkham City. Batman Arkham City.
Oh, that looks amazing.
It is totally amazing. And earlier when I asked about the comic book thing for reading they did a comic book prequel to that, which you really don't need to read because it is a video game, but it does give nice backstory. But now they have Arkham Unhinged, which is a comic book based on the video game, so that's a lot of fun.
Wow.
And I just got in the mail yesterday. I'm so excited. My favorite comic book character right now, the best title out there is Batgirl. Gail Simone writes Batgirl, and it's freaking unbelievable. But I just got in the mail my trade paperbacks of volumes 1 and 2 of Batwoman, so I can't wait to read those.
The thing I want to get right now are it's 2 volumes, I believe, that collects the Star Trek comic strip. There was around the time of the motion picture.
Remember that? Yeah.
And I don't think
3 panels and
yeah, and I don't think I've seen any of those. I don't think that where I was growing up, I don't think the papers carried the strip, and so
we had it.
I really want to get those because
I want more Walking Dead.
And we're eagerly. I think it's just next week, isn't it? That Walking Dead comes back.
I was talking about the comics.
Oh, the comics.
Yeah.
Maggie's back. Maggie's coming back. Is it wrong that I hope for Glenn to die?
I don't like him as much anymore.
I think they kind of, in transitioning him from eager young Glenn to
Man Glenn,
that's always depressed.
I just want him to die because then Maggie has nobody with her.
And then in your fantasy world,
I swoop in. Of course. Now
I'm excited about the show coming back.
Yeah, that too.
This season's been really good. I've enjoyed this season.
Has it ever not been good?
The season 2 with the budget cuts where they were stuck at the farmhouse dragged a little bit.
Everybody,
I didn't say I didn't like it, but it started to reach the point where I was like, they got to start moving.
It was.
See, I didn't notice that at all, and people say that to me a lot. And I'm just like,
I can understand that reaction, but I was enjoying the kind of
think
slow
about if
burn.
you binge watch.
That's the only way.
Right. It kind of. That's a long time on the phone.
Yeah, we were watching it.
Because I didn't start
weekly.
watching weekly until later. Wasn't it later that I started
I was
watching
never
weekly?
more disappointed than when I caught up on my binge watch of Arrow, and now I have to wait like to paraphrase Goodfellas, I gotta wait like the rest of the schmucks from week to week.
I can't remember when you started watching.
Because when you first started watching it, that was a few years ago, and you told me that I shouldn't watch it. But I remember you telling me about it, and then just a year or two ago, I started watching it on Netflix.
Anybody else hearing her little Minnesota accent coming through? That is so adorable. Thank you.
We here in Minnesota don't have accents. It's all the rest of you that have accents.
Yeah.
Now, thank you, Mad Wolf. Do you guys have like a Twin City Comic Con that goes on as well?
I wish.
There are one or two conventions that are more sort of comics oriented, but I haven't really paid close attention to those ones.
Well, I don't read comics.
And
why?
It's weird. Right now, really, the only comics that I'm reading are the Star Trek comics, really. And every once in a while, I'll pick up something else. Like I picked up the Dinosaurs Attack miniseries. And although I did pick up a couple of new comics on our trip to the comic book store yesterday,
we always go to the comic book store, and I always want to go to the comic book store, but I don't read any.
You're not a big comic book reader.
I'll tell you, if you like comic books and you like Star Trek, you can get on DVD-ROM. They have all of the Star Trek comics.
I've got that.
That is awesome.
It is. But I picked up the first issue of the new Serenity comic book.
So did I. Yeah.
And I picked up the first issue of Unwritten Apocalypse. And I actually haven't read the original Unwritten series, but Unwritten Apocalypse caught my eye because the co-writer and artist on there, Peter Gross, who's done a lot of great comic work, and he was doing I just blanked on the name of this incredibly famous comic book series started by Neil Gaiman, Magic, the Books of Magic. That was sort of a spin-off of.
Have either of you read Sandman?
No.
I've got two, and I've got to finish. I've got 2 Sandman tattoos now.
Oh, cool.
Midlife crisis, I'm getting tattoos instead of buying a car I can't afford.
The Peter Gross, the artist I mentioned, is actually, I was acquaintances with him decades ago. We both lived in Duluth, Minnesota, and...
Why?
And, because...
Duluth is wonderful.
Really?
Yes, I love Duluth.
Honestly, what's there?
It's
nothing.
No, the greatest thing about Duluth, it's on the shore of Lake Superior, and
lake effect snow.
It's big water. It's like living next to the ocean, except you're cold.
So it's Chicago without all the buildings?
Except for in the summer, it's perfect because when it gets when we have our Indian summers, and then the wind off the lake makes Duluth the perfect temperature.
It's a bizarre city in many ways. It's also perched on the hillside right next to the lake, and so there are like San Francisco steep hills to drive in the city. But then it also has weather that's kind of a lot like England, where it's just kind of cool and rainy a lot. It's a strange place to live. And then you also, because it's stretched out along the lake, so it's a very long and skinny city. And so if you start off walking in just about any direction where you're not ending up in the lake, it doesn't take long until you're like suddenly in woods. And it's just it's really
sounds like a cool place to set like a cop drama, like a supernatural cop show.
It would be.
Or an X-Files type thing. Now, Vixen, we've had a request for you to say the word toast.
Toast?
Now say it how you would normally say it.
Toast.
All right, now we've had a request for you to say grilled cheese.
Grilled cheese.
Except are these people hoping for a
I think for accent.
A Fargo kind of you betcha kind of
Oh yeah.
Well, I live around Baltimore, and you want to talk about an accent. Yeah, we're going to get some natty bow. Now, Mike, they talk what, meth out there?
What?
They have what, a meth accent out there where you live? Mike, are you with us?
What does meth accent sound like?
Dude.
Where does Mike live? Mike, where are you?
Central California.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, don't you know? Yeah, exactly. Exactly, Magnum. Oh yeah, they put him in the wood chipper, don't you know?
Oh, it's been too long since I've watched Fargo.
I love that movie.
It's a
I
fabulous
love the
movie.
Steve Buscemi when they're with the girls.
Yeah.
Oh, the lovely Janice just shut up. Scott, Audio Vixen, the lovely Janice, my fiancée.
Hello.
Hello.
Now she's scrambling to type something. So really, Duluth? All right, then.
Well, I'm originally from a small town called Carlton, which is about 25 miles south of Duluth.
I loved him on Fresh Prince.
There. And, population 896. I'm from the country.
Except for it feels smaller because my grandma knows everyone in the entire town.
Yeah, it's a very small
town. You get away
town.
with nothing, do you?
Yeah, exactly. And when I was in high school, and one of my friends in high school got an earring. It was
set the town on edge, did it?
And he was originally from California. He had been living in California.
He was one of them.
And then his family moved back.
He might as well have been one of the Weather Underground.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's like I saw someone else that didn't know him, and immediately the first question was, "Your friend has an earring now, doesn't he? What's It just like swept through the small town like wildfire.
What did you say the population was again?
For many years, the population sign outside of Carlton, 896. Yeah, I'm from a real small town, but then I moved to Duluth when I went to college, and then I lived there for many years. And but I miss the lake, is what I miss.
Yeah.
Because just that big water, there's something about it that's mystical. I don't know.
Great for swimming.
Does it ever inspire you in your writings?
Actually, I have what I've taken to refer to as my long-suffering steampunk novel, because I've been working on this original novel for years, making notes and stuff, and I've only written the first 3 chapters so far. Is actually set in Duluth, like an alternate timeline Duluth in the 1800s. And the lake figures prominently in the story, and someday I hope you'll get to read my steampunk novel, but I'm being very bad.
Now, our very own Ceridian here, if you see him over there with his writing utensils out, Mike has actually sold a couple of his things.
Yeah, we were talking before we went live. He said that he had a couple of audio things sold. Yeah, which is really cool.
And I'll be focusing on other types of writing as well, so I'm going to try to make a career out of this.
Mike, you okay? Because all of a sudden you sound like you just fell asleep.
I'm dealing with stuff over here.
Oh, the technical issues then?
Technical issues and other issues.
Yeah. Have you done any writing, Vixen? Do you have a desire to get into that?
I don't know. My teachers say that I'm good at writing, but I don't know. I mean, lately I go to a super hippie school, and so lately it's been more like I really wish I could get into the spring musical.
What is the musical?
They're doing Little Shop of Horrors.
Nice.
Yeah, it would have been nice.
You didn't get in?
No.
All right, whose ass do I have to kick?
I was sick when I had to audition, and so I wasn't feeling very.
Because you'd stayed home 2 or 3 days in a row sick, and then
part of the reason I even went to school that day was to audition.
And you're at the age now where you'd rather go to school and be with everyone than hang out at home, right?
See, there comes a point where if you stay home, then you have to do so much more work to catch up that it's better to go.
That's true too.
But if I try and time it right so that if I can feel like I'm getting sick, I try and put it off until like a day where I don't have all my classes, or a long weekend, or like winter break, which I was horribly sick for most of. So that was
Did you get your flu shot this year?
I don't know, probably not.
Sure, Sensei, all putting in a picture of the watermelon for the black guy. Sorry, I was talking to the chat room. But I remember it got to a certain point where I want to say it was my sophomore year of high school, where you just didn't want to miss anymore because you were there was too much going on.
Yeah, I mean,
you and all your droogs.
Yeah, the baker's dozen minus Chloe. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We have some pretty. My school is really weird, and so lots of things happen.
It's a small charter school, so it's a pretty unique place.
There are like 50 other kids in my same grade, so
that's it.
Yeah, I mean, but it's Montessori, so it's split into levels. So my level is 9th and 10th grade together, so then there are about 100 of us overall.
Yeah, so she's actually succeeded. Even though we're here in the Twin Cities, she's going to a school that's smaller than my school was when I was a kid.
There are 300 kids in the high school. So
holy crap! Well, you want to hear something, Scott? I don't think I've told you this. Janice, who I'm, the lovely Janice, who I'm now engaged to.
Yep.
I met her when in 1980 we were like,
wow.
Yeah, and so we were junior high and then through high school together and everything. It's been it's been a long road getting from there to here.
Oh.
So see, just hold out hope, Vixen. If there's somebody, 30 years later, you might wind up with them.
It's kind of scary.
Yeah, you have no idea. So what are you already looking to the future for what you want to do? Besides take care of that cat?
That's Zeus, everyone, joining us here this morning.
Yeah, he doesn't meow on cue yet. He will. He's smart. I have no idea. I don't know. I like working with animals, but I don't know. I haven't thought about it. I have no clue.
Now, are you guys watching the Super Bowl tonight?
Is that tonight?
More like the Puppy Bowl.
You know what's on at noon?
Planet.
The
Kitten Bowl. Yes.
That's what it's all about.
But the kittens are the halftime show.
No, the Kitten Bowl starts at noon.
I think they have their own thing this time instead of just being the halftime.
Yeah, no, they got their own show at noon.
I make jokes about this every year, and my friends, somebody always says something about the Super Bowl at lunch, and I'm like, I'll be watching the Puppy Bowl, guys, come on, and everyone groans at me at the same time, and it's great. There
was just a column this weekend where someone said that the Puppy Bowl is worse than football because of the cruelty to the animals and blah, 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 and I just, at that point, I called Dr. Strange and had them take care of it.
And then you've got the 25-year-old guy referee who just stands there dorkily with the puppy making some pun.
Yeah.
I know. Puppy Bowl is adorable though, but I was so excited to see the Kitten Bowl. But yes, the Super Bowl is today, and I know you guys in Canada don't play the Super Bowl, but so.
I've always been largely indifferent to professional sports, so
What is it? I even know the teams this year. It's
I've never been
what is it? The Broncos versus the Seahawks?
It's the
yes.
Oh man.
Wow. I'm impressed.
She just took your man card and ran with it. You realize that?
I don't think even though I've been reading tons of Facebook posts from friends of mine talking about the game for the last few weeks since the playoffs and everything, I still don't think I would have remembered either of those names.
I don't know where I heard them.
Well, you probably just on. I mean, it's everywhere. People talking about it.
I mean, probably Tumblr.
So you saw. Yeah.
So how is your the last time we talked, you were on a quest to convert some of your friends to your geekdom.
Yeah. One of my friends started watching Supernatural, but I don't think she actually was interested in it. I think it was just like some of my other friends started watching it.
They were humoring you, maybe?
And then she was upset because we kept freaking out about it, and then she couldn't join in our conversations.
Yeah.
But I've got one of my friends is becoming a Tolkienite now, so we've got that to look forward to. She hasn't read the books or seen the movies, so she's in the middle of the Fellowship of the Ring right now, because she just read The Hobbit and then came to see Desolation of Smaug with me.
I tried to read The Hobbit, and I got to tell you, I'm bored out of my mind. No, seriously. Yeah, seriously. I could not get into it at all. No, not at all. Now, I started to read Harry Potter, and I will admit, I got a couple of chapters in, and I was finding it enjoyable, and then a whole bunch of different crap happened, and I couldn't read it. But, speaking of reading.
You know, we're supposed to be talking about books.
Books. They're these bound things with paper and words.
I've heard tales of the dead tree format, but I don't believe them. No, you're wrong. They're this thing that you put on your Kindle.
Amazon, ebook. If you haven't bought it, I will cunt punch you. That's a great line.
It's a good line.
Do you read Star Trek novels? I'm sure Swallow has some stories he could tell us.
I love big books and I can't lie.
That's one of the really good things in life. To me, as long as it's enjoyable to read.
That's a good book. Wasn't it a good book, Mike?
It was.
That's because Mackenzie Calhoun is badass.
No, it is not a Cardassian generational epic.
I was like in heaven.
It's really good.
Right on.
Tuesday. Is it this week? Kristen Byers' new Voyager novel comes out.
It actually came out. The official release date was last week.
Okay.
Yep.
Now you know Kristen, right?
Yep. The fabulous Kristen.
She is fabulous. She has totally resurrected that whole Voyager novel line.
She is. Yeah. I'm a huge fan of her Voyager work. It's great stuff. And I think in a lot of ways she's been able to take up some of the stuff that they kind of fumbled on the show, and she's really ran with it. And I love the stuff. I'm looking forward to reading the new one.
Now, do you read the Titan novels at all?
I read all the Star Trek fiction. I'm way behind right now, but yeah, I read all of them.
What is your favorite of like the book series? Like, and I don't want to say the series because like Mike just read New Frontiers, the first book for the first time.
Mm-hmm. I loved what the usual gang did with Vanguard.
Oh my god! And have you read those, Vixen?
No.
Oh, you really. If you like the original series, it's amazing.
And I'm really looking forward to Seekers.
Yeah, that looks like it's going to be a lot of fun.
Did you see Dayton's post the other day about when will this novel end?
Yeah, I didn't. I didn't read the whole post. I saw something. I didn't quite see what he was talking about.
I think he's gotten to the point where it's becoming more of a chore trying to get it finished rather than...
He also just moved and everything, so you got to throw that in on
That's
top
right. Yeah, he's in the middle of the big move to the new Stately Ward Manor.
And speaking
version 2.0.
Speaking of Dayton was sent the Ask Dayton. Let me read the email that Dayton sent because it's kind of interesting. And then you can all email Dayton or post on Facebook. Hey, I haven't gotten to this yet, and the next 2 days are going to be chaos. So I need to push this to next week. Sorry. Notice, Mike, he gets a contract extension, and the first thing he does is not answer the sweeps. I'm a New York Times best-selling author now. Look, I was on number 13 at the New York Times bestseller list. Kevin wouldn't have done that to us.
Well, he got more vacation time with the new contract.
That's true, but he still doesn't have the Johnny Carson plan. Oh, Lord. Yes, if you like the original series, Vixen, Vanguard is set during that time period, but it's a whole new crew, and it's on board a space station.
Oh.
Try and go any more into detail about it would not do it justice because you can't just thumbnail.
Yeah, and going back to the top of the show when you asked us about animated Star Trek, Vanguard, that's what should be.
Oh my God, yeah.
That's what should be an animated Star Trek.
Well, Terry and I also agree that Titan would be an amazing animated series.
Yeah, it would.
It looks like, have you seen the stuff that people are doing on CGI to try and sell a Titan series?
Oh, yeah, I did. I saw a little bit when they first started appearing, but I haven't kept up with it. I'm sure they've got some more amazing stuff online now that I haven't seen.
Yeah, and also, what is it, Mike? Axanar.
Axanar.
It's set with Captain Garth during the during the Battle of Axanar.
It's a film about Battle of Axanar, featuring Garth, and it seems like it's going to be an interesting project.
And so that's a fan production that's being made?
It's more than a fan production.
It's more of an unofficial production. It's more it's professionals who are creating it, but it is
like Renegades.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Which there's been a lot of posts about Renegades lately too. A lot of things are coming out of the woodwork now.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting to me. I think
there is a lot of I mean, right now Star Trek
Continues number 2 is coming out too, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's next week.
Oh, is it next week? Oh, wow.
It's very soon. So yeah, right now, I mean, it's almost like a Renaissance time period for Star Trek fan productions. I think the idea is one of these is going to become the new show. But what I'm hoping is that CBS picks up more than one, or goes with more than one, and then distributes them, across the internet.
Mm-hmm. I think a live action and an animated would be the best route to go.
Well, what I'm thinking is, have TV have one, and then give Netflix one.
Mm-hmm.
And then have an animated one as well, because that would be like totally cool. But I think that would be, just different platforms, different track, because I think there's enough interest.
Now, speaking
if you look at the web, it's saturated with fan production right now. Quality fan production.
Yeah. Well, speaking of different platforms and stuff, and we talked about my love of wrestling earlier, did you see the announcement of what Vince McMahon, the WWE Network, what they're doing?
No.
He is creating his own network. It debuts the end of this month. It will be $10 a month, and it will be available streaming. It will be available on Xbox, on the computer, on your mobile devices, all of that stuff. And now remember, this is $10 a month. All of the pay-per-views will be included on it.
He's going to make a gargantuan pile of money.
Well, if it works. It's going to be a 24/7 streaming network. Now, remember, most of the pay-per-views run about $50. And you have a 6-month commitment for $10 a month. But if you just watch 2 of the pay-per-views alone, you've already gotten your money back on what you would have watched otherwise. Yeah. And it's also going to have every pay-per-view ever done by WWE, the old WCW, the old ECW are going to be archived so that you can watch them. They're going to have original series like the Monday Night War, which is basically a show talking about the 90s and early 2000s when the two programs, the 2 different companies were basically at war for Monday night with each other. Mm-hmm. WrestleMania Rewind, talking about matches and stuff, like a documentary show. So yeah, their developmental talent is going to have its own show. So it's going to be it's a huge gamble. But if it pays off, boy, there's, that could set the tone for something like, Mike, what you were saying. What would be wrong with a Star Trek network? Not maybe $10 a month, $5 a month, but all the films, all the episodes, a new original series, documentaries, live convention coverage, things like that.
Yeah. That's the whole internet distribution thing is such an amazing new world that it's going to be really amazing to watch what happens over the next few years, because it's become so viable. I mean, of course, there is there's the whole net neutrality issue going on, though. That's going to be a challenge because I'm still waiting to see bad fallout on that because, so I get my cable through
Didn't Netflix just challenge the ruling?
Yeah, because my cable company, I get my internet cable through Comcast, and they're already, they're also they're a cable TV company, and then they provide my internet, and so one could argue that it's not in their interest to provide Netflix and Hulu a lot of bandwidth to watch shows instead of watching Comcast shows. And without net neutrality,
my answer to that is, hey, Comcast, have the networks put on better shows.
Yeah. Or, hey, Comcast, why don't you revolutionize the cable TV industry and allow people to pick whatever channels they want, and charge, do full a la carte and let people, have your fees based on a tier-based system based on the number of channels you have, and just let people pick their channels.
Yeah, because I've got now where I live, I don't pay for my Dish TV because the guy that owns the house, he already has it, so he just, had the second box.
Nice.
But there's so many channels. I never, I mean, it's just, I've skipped by them so much, and then I'll be going through and go, what the hell channel is that this is on? But by this, and then the other side of the coin is, I want to know how it's legal for us to be charged so much when you get to 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, everything is some kind of paid infomercial.
Mm-hmm.
So why are we paying so much for a half-an-hour commercial?
Yeah, the cable industry is insane, and I hardly watch anything on cable now that I have Netflix and Hulu.
Well, because we got a Roku.
And we got one of those Roku devices. So
what is that?
It's a little piece of hardware that puts things that are fed over the internet, like Netflix or Hulu, and it allows you to watch it on your TV instead of on your computer.
Yeah, see, when I got my Xbox 360, I'm so happy because I can watch those on my TV.
Yeah.
And that's one of the cool things about the WWE network is it'll be available through my Xbox.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a really smart, they went all out in making it available on iPads, iPhones, Android devices, Xbox, every platform out there, you'll be able to get the network on, which is brilliant. Because if you're sitting in an airport, you whip out your iPad and watch a good old school match for 20 minutes while you're waiting.
Yeah.
That, for read, but who reads it? Now, question for you, Vixen, because you're a delicate young lady. Right. Are you an old school feel the paper in your hand book reader, or are you a Kindle user?
I've been thinking about getting a Nook from Barnes & Noble because their cheapest one is only like $79.
Yeah, but Nook is pretty much going to go away soon. I just saw a thing how Kindle has like 70% of the market, and Nook looks like it's on its way out.
Oh man, I don't know, but I never got around to it, and especially I don't know, it just like weirds. It's like I wanna, if I buy a book like John Green's books, it's like those books are so good that I want to have like a physical copy to be like, I own this super good book and I'm like proud of it. But if I have an ebook, I don't really it's different. I don't know.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. But one of the things that's happening is Scott, you know the lovely Kelly Metting, right? Yeah, you were there when I met her.
Yep.
Kelly, now she's got a new book series coming out, but her last several books have been ebook only.
Yep.
That's what they've contracted her for. So now you're running into, if you really love an author or something like that, sometimes that's all that's happened.
Yep. Yeah. And like my More Things Change Trek thing is ebook only, because they've started doing, what is it now? Like, I think 4 a year at this point they're doing ebook only. Maybe it's a little bit more than that.
It's such a shame that SCE disappeared because it was too far ahead of its time.
They were ahead of the curve on that. Yeah. That is entirely what happened with this.
And what was it? Starfleet Year 1? Remember that? That came out just before Enterprise.
Yeah.
Where it was the formation of Starfleet. And then Enterprise kind of wiped out that book series before the second book even got out.
You had on your pod or pad or something, you had the complete Sherlock Holmes. It seems to me you were reading a lot of that on.
I read The Hound of the Baskervilles entirely on my old iPod Touch, my second generation iPod Touch.
Yeah, see, like, I look my iPod. I have a whole one of the nice things, not my iPod, my Kindle. I still get like the fall and everything in paperback to have them, but then I've also got the same books in my Kindle, but I have like different folders, like a folder just for Kelly Matting, a folder just for Keith DeCandido and his non-Star Trek stuff. But I also have an IKS Gorkon folder and a Star Trek folder and a Neil Gaiman folder. So that way I can, a military folder, a classics folder, which kind of makes it easier when you're traveling. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And they should really, has anyone started this yet? Because it should really be that when you buy a print book, you should get the ebook for free. Does anyone do that yet? Do any publishers do that?
I don't think so.
Because it seems that should, I don't know how, I don't know how they would.
Wouldn't that cut into the author's money, though?
Yeah, there would be issues in trying to make that happen, but to me it seems like, as a consumer, that's the way I want it to be. It's like I would just like to get the whole. It's like I'm buying the content, and if I should get them both. Is how I feel. But
yeah, but that's like that to me. That almost feels like, and disagree with you. I paid to go see the Avengers. I should have some kind of thing so that when it comes out on Blu-ray, I get it. Which they're two totally different platforms: the physical book and the ebook.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Definitely. And then like certainly from an author point of view, if I put on my author hat, I might have issues with it because I'm thinking, well, it'd be nice if people bought both versions. So
yeah, because that's what I do. Mike, do you do the same thing?
Or maybe if there was a reduced rate. I don't know.
A reduced rate I could go for. If the normal Kindle version is $6.99 to get it for $3.99, I could go with that.
Yeah.
Because then they're still getting money for it, and because having dated Kelly and knowing you guys, I now have a far deeper understanding of how the whole royalties things work, and laughing when I hear about the 1 cent checks.
The whole thing is it's off the top of my head. I say this thing like it would be nice if when I bought a print book, I then had the ebook, but it is a very problematic concept from a number of a number of directions. But it's so confusing.
Yeah,
this
because then the Audible people also get, what about the audiobooks? Now, speaking of problematic, Mike, we have the voicemail from Baz.
Do we have Mike?
Mike.
We've lost Mike.
He's been dipping into the blood wine.
You can hear him snoring in the background.
I know. Mike?
I'm dealing with children.
Oh, what?
Dealing with children, he said. He's dealing with children. That's what I thought he said. Is that what he said?
Yeah.
Sorry, my nephews they spent the night and they're
well, speaking of children and problems, Mike, we have Baz's voicemail.
I can't.
Okay.
I need to end the show. I'm sorry.
All right. Well, this is episode
129.
Yeah.
Episode 129. Thank you so much to Scott and Audio Vixen from Generations Geek for their fill-in for Terry while she's gone this weekend. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you for having us back again.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you for joining us.
When you find out more about your current book, just let us know and you'll be on the flash.
And sorry, I completely lost track of what I was going to say.
Yeah, that seems to be going on right now, doesn't it? Vixen, anything you want to say before we sign off?
It's always great to be on.
See, that's why I like her. She almost said that sincerely too. All right, Mike. Anything else? Anything you need to plug?
Blah.
Oh, all right then. Well, everybody be safe. Tonight's Super Bowl. So if you go to a party, remember cabs or designated driver, please. We want everybody back healthy and I was going to say normal, but and so Terry, we look forward to seeing you next week. And Joe Lontreux.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
GNT Show is a Busy Little Beaver production.
Music for the G&T Show is provided by Warp 11, Grethor, 5-Year Mission, and Andrew Allen's Smooth Federation.
Gonna take a 5-year tour